I'm a huge fan of Stephen Bartlett. He's a British businessman. He has an incredible business empire, but also a brilliant podcast series called The Diary of a CEO. And on one of his episodes recently, he was talking about A players versus B players when it comes to teamwork and kind of organizations in general. And he was referring to the fact that you have to be incredibly careful of B players because they have the potential to bring an entire company or team down. And I thought it would be really interesting to talk a bit more about this today because everything in my life is synchronistic. This is something that I've been reflecting on recently, how we are so influenced by the people that we surround ourselves with and by our environment. And essentially, this is exactly what Stephen is referring to as well. Now, when he talks about A players and B players, he is talking about two very different categories of people. So, A players in a team, in an organization, they are the people that you can depend on. They are trustworthy, they follow procedures, they enjoy what they do, they are committed to their role and it shows in every single aspect. B players, on the other hand, do the absolute bare minimum. They almost scrape the barrel in a way. They do what they have to do to survive, but there isn't any kind of commitment or passion behind their actions. When they feel like the spotlight might be shone on them a little bit, they might step the game up and do a bit more to appear that they are willing, but the reality is that they're not. And before long, they slip back to their old ways and they are underperforming as always. It's interesting because B players are toxic in a team and in an organization because they have the power to influence A players. At some point, A players might look at those B players and be like, well, hold on a second. Our roles and responsibilities are the same. Maybe the pay is the same if they're in an organization, for example. Why is it that I'm putting all the effort in as an A player and those B players are getting away with doing hardly anything at all and consistently not doing what they're meant to do? Maybe I should become a bit like them. And this is where you have the potential to have those A players, the people that really drive your team, drive your company forward, help to give you a good reputation. You run the risk of them becoming B players because nothing is being done about the B players who are not pulling their weight and consistently seem to be getting away with it. And I think there are a few reasons why. Some of them are cultural, like especially here in Italy, I feel like people are afraid to speak up. There is this mentality sometimes that companies are families. Let me tell you, a company is not a family. And I am not the only person to say this. Some of the most successful people in the world will tell you, I am not building a family, I'm building a community at best. It is not a family. You cannot sack your family. They're there for life. It is a very different concept. And it is this. I think, when you don't have that degree of separation between like your colleagues and yourself, I think it's harder for you to be objective and it's harder for you to have these kinds of difficult conversations that you need to have with those B players to try to understand what the root of their problem really is. And it's this. I think that we are so influenced by other people more so than we ever realize. I think you can probably recall a time in your life when you have been around people who are very negative and it's just their whole energy, their vibe, their demeanor, the way that they carry themselves is just really heavy to be around. And it does impact the way that you feel. Maybe you were feeling really good before, but after an hour or two in company of people like that, you definitely aren't feeling the same anymore. Whereas if you are surrounding yourself with people who are high vibe and energetic, passionate about what they do, always looking for opportunities and possibilities, that is infectious. And that energy makes you feel inspired to want to do the same. I think, we have to be so careful in life that we are not surrounding ourselves with B players in whatever context, because B players, in a way, need to be a little bit more real with their intentions and with how they feel about their situation. Because if you are not putting 100% effort into what you do, if you are doing just what you have to do to get by and that's it, there's something underlying behind that. Maybe you need to do something different in your life, or maybe you need some extra support, or you need to feel like, you can be pushed in some way to improve. There's something that's lacking in a B player that needs to be nurtured. And if it cannot be nurtured, then they need to change their environment. But you see, I always believe that as a company, as a team, whatever context you're looking at this from, you have to pay attention to those B players, because a company rides or dies by its reputation. And a reputation can easily be destroyed by enough B players. And it's really hard to rebuild your reputation once it's been damaged. And it's this. So I think in life, we all need to be a bit more aware of those B players, the people we have in our lives that, bring us down, bring our energy down, are not really committed, not invested in you, perhaps as a person, do what they have to do. But it always feels like there's an ulterior motive behind their actions. Like, pay attention to those kinds of people. And in a way, I want to say to you, don't surround yourself with people that bring your energy down and bring your standards down. Be more selective about the types of people that you surround yourself with. And as an organization, as a company, be more selective about the types of people that you bring onto your team, because every single person that works within your team represents everything that you have worked hard to build and to achieve. And if you have people that are not really following rules, procedures, whatever it may be, they have the potential to undo all of that hard work. And this is exactly what Stephen Bartlett was talking about in his podcast episode. And it was just so profound. And it was just so relevant, as always, to some of the things that I've been thinking about recently as well. So I hope that this has given you some food for thought in terms of really paying attention to the people that are in your life, on your team, in your organization, and really thinking about ways that you can support the people that are perhaps not performing the way that they should or behaving the way that they should, and how you can make sure that you yourself are not being pulled down to a lower standard than what is really truly you. I will see you in the next episode.